Alrighty, here we are at the last long translation of stage 22 of Cambridge Latin. Amor, Omnia, Vincit, Scaeca, Tertia. Love conquers all, scene 3. So this is a fairly long passage right here, and in order to get through it at a reasonable pace, the video isn't too long, and apologies if it is, but in order to get through that, I've already provided the English translation on the right side here. And I'm just going to be highlighting sort of more important points of Latin grammar for this translation. So, per solentium noctis termas intrat bulbus et gutta. So, bulbus and gutta enter through the silence. And what do they enter? They enter the baths and through the silence of night. So notice that if you've got a word like this with noctis and it's going between these two words and you're not sure which one it should go with, remember that like French, most adjectives are going to go right after the word that they're describing. So solentium is going to go with noctis. So through the silence of a night, bulbus and gutta enter the baths. Prope fontem sacrum se calat. So near the sacred fountain, they hide in themselves. So it's a reflexive pronoun. Bulbus gotae stolum et pallium quod secum tulit ostendit. So bulbus shows to gutta the stola, so the dress, and a cloak, which he carried with himself, right? So this guy is doing this main action to this guy, right? So he's showing these two things, these two direct objects to the dative indirect object of gutta, and then we have a relative clause which is describing those two items, which is neuter because pallium, cloak, is in the neuter and it's going to default to that, which he carried with him. So he's carried these two things with him. All right, gutta. Volo te haec vestimenta indubere. So gutta, I want you to put on these clothes. So volo is taking complementary infinitive. Notice that te is the subject, accusative subject of indurere, to put on, and haec vestimenta is the direct object of that infinitive. Volo te personam vilbiae agere. So notice that this is a they're dressing up like they're in a play. So even though this whole thing is written like it's a play within a play, which is called being meta-theatrical. Anyway, I want you to agere personam, to play the part of Vilbia. So a persona literally means a mask, like a mask that you would wear in ancient theater. So our personality comes from the word for a stage character. And agere, the fourth principal part of ago, is actually actus, which is where we get the word acting from. So I want you to act the part of Vilbia. Nobis necesse est de cipere modestum, quem brevi expecto. So it is necessary for us to deceive Modestus, whom shortly I expect, like I'm waiting for him to come here shortly, basically. I think that we know most of the grammar of that. It's pretty old hat. Viro non decorum est gerere stolum. So it is not right for a man to wear a dress. Although in ancient comedies, it was very, very common for actors to play female parts, especially in the Greek theater, men played all the roles. So a little bit silly there, a little bit silly. I think that otherwise the grammar's fairly old hat for you there, so it should be pretty easy. Just remember that the verb gero can mean to wear something. Praeterea barbam habeo. Besides, I have a beard. All right, fair enough. Id minimi momenti est, quod in tenebris sumus. It is of little importance. It is of little importance because we are in darkness. So we're in the descriptive. And then id is a thing, so it's sort of indefinite, and that's why it's being described by this descriptive genitive. It is a thing of little importance because we are in the darkness. Nonne tibi persuadere possum. Surely I am able to persuade you. So remember that nonne expects a yes answer, and persuadeo takes a dative, which is why tibi's there. Ecce, look, decem denarios tibi do. Look, I am giving to you 10 denaries. Look, I'm giving you 10 denaries, so 10 coins. Nunc take, now be quiet. That's an imperative right there. Indue stolam paliumque. So put on the dress and cloak. Indue is another imperative. Sta prope fontem Dei. So stand near the fountain of the goddess. Sta is another imperative. Ubi modestus fonte apropinquat, dic ei verba suavissima. So when Modestus draws near to the fountain, speak these words, these very sweet words to him. All right, so everything up to the comma is a temporal clause, and apropinquo takes a dative, by the way, and dic is an imperative, and then verba suavissima is the direct object. Suavissima is, by the way, it's a superlative, so very, very sweet words. And also verba is an accusative plural. It's just neuter, which is why it ends in an A. A is a dative. So it's from is id. Gutta postquam stolam invitus induit prope fontem stat. So Gutta, after he unwillingly put on the dress, stands near the fountain. Invitus, again, is going to be an adjective that is translated like an adverb. And everything between those two commas is a temporal clause, which is adverbial. Modestus solus termos ingressus fonti apropinquam. Modestus, alone, having entered the baths, draws near to the fountain. Everything between the two commas there is a participial phrase. Ingressus is a perfect passive participle from a deponent verb, ingredior, and therefore this means this is what Cambridge calls a perfect active participle, which is why it's taking a direct object. Therefore, it is translated as entering or having entered the baths, having entered the baths. All right. Next bit right here. Vilbia, me Vilbia modestis fortissimus militum adest. Vilbia, my Vilbia, Modestus, the bravest of soldiers, is here. Fortissimos is superlative, and it takes this genitive. So it's like a partitive genitive, probably, the bravest of the soldiers. Oh, deliciae mei, veni ad me. Oh, pardon me. Oh, my darling. It means it's like we get delicious from that, like delectable. Oh, most chosen of. Veni ad me. That's an imperative. Come to me. Quam rauca est vox tua. How harsh is your voice? We get the word raucous from this. So how rough is your voice? Num lacrimas quod tarbetus advenio. So surely you were not crying. Surely you weren't crying because I came late or I arrived late. So both of these are present tense verbs, and num is expecting a no answer. Surely you aren't crying. Quote is because I, as a late person, arrive. So tardus is, again, it's acting as the subject. It's an adjective describing Modestus, but Modestus isn't stated, so we're going to translate it adverbially as describing advenio, and just have to supply an I in English. So I arrive late. Ituero, which means yes, very much. Tom solicita eram. I was so worried. Eram is the imperfect form of sum, and tom is an adverb means so. Lacrimas tuas siccare possum. I am able to dry your tears. I'm able to dry your tears. So we get the word desiccant from that, or desiccated for drying. I'm able to dry your tears, and tuas is a possessive pronoun. Modestus ad gutam advenit. So Modestus comes towards Gutta. Di immortalis Vilbia, barbam habes, quid tibi acedit. Oh, so it's by the immortal gods, Vilbia, you have a beard. What happened to you? Oh. Tum, then bulbus modestum infantem diecit. So then Bulbus throws or threw Modestus into the fountain, right? Threw Modestus into the fountain. Vilbia termas ingressus ubi clamoris audivit propayanum praeterita manet. So Vilbia, having entered the baths, when she heard the clamor, remains near the door, terrified. So everything, so ingressa therma is a participial phrase. Ingressa is a perfect passive participle from a deponent verb. So therefore it means having entered the baths. Everything between ubi and audiwit is a temporal clause, and the main clause is monet propeianum praeterita, remains near the door, terrified. Praeterita is an adjective describing a will be, but we're going to translate it like an adverb. Almost there. This is the last bit. Perio, perio, parque. I am dying, spare me, spare me. Forcifer wilbiam meam quam valde amo aufere audes. So thief, scoundrel, my Vilbia, whom I desire greatly, whom I love greatly, pardon me, you dare to steal, to carry off. Audes is taking this complementary infinitive. Nunc mihi facile est te interficere. Now it is easy for me to kill you. Modestus says, noli me interficere, do not kill me. Right? Noli is taking an infinitive to indicate a negative command. Vilbiam te re tibi redo. So I give to you Vilbia. Eam a te aufere nolo. I do not want to steal her from you. Ablative separation. Vilbiam non amo. I do not love Vilbia. Vilbia, simulacro haec audiuit, irrata fonti apropinquat. Vilbia, as soon as she hears these words, so haec verba, these words, irrata fonti apropinquat, angrily approaches the fountain. Apropinquo takes a dative, and irrata is an adjective, but we'll translate it like an adverb. Modestum vituperare incipit. She begins to curse Modestus. Ne non amas, you don't love me. O hominem in graum. This is an accusative of exclamation. So it means, oh, cowardly man. Oh, cowardly man. Ego ipsa te velim interficere. So I myself would like to kill you. Velim, remember, is a subjunctive mood verb. So it's subjunctive form of volo. I would like to kill you myself. Meo Vilbia, victoribus necorum est victis parcere. Pardon me. And Bilbus is referring back to the words from a previous passage. It is right for the victors to spare the conquered. Remember that parcere takes a dative. Mi bulbe deliciae mei miserima sum. So my Bulbus, my darling, I am very miserable, the most miserable. This is a superlative. Longe eravi. I made a big mistake, which means I erred by a long way. That's literally what it means. We'll just say I made a big mistake. And that's a perfect tense verb. Noli lacrimare, don't cry. Noli plus infinitive expresses a negative command. Ego te curare possum. I am able to take care of you. O bulbe, o suspirum meum. O bulbus, oh my heartthrob, my life, my breath, something like that. Bulbus et Vilbia domum redeunt. A bulbus and Vilbia return home. Gutta stolum pallium qua exiunt. So Gutta takes off the dress and the cloak. He numerat laete denarios, he happily counts his denarii. Modestus e fonte se extrahit et maridus abit. So Modestus pulls himself, reflexive pronoun, from the fountain and goes away soaking wet. So Modestus drags himself from the fountain and goes away wet. All right, that is the end of stage 22 in terms of long translations. I will see you in the next stage.